What's going on, guys? I hope you are doing well this afternoon. It is 4:13 p.m. Central Standard Time where I'm at. I just wanted to cover the charts and kind of get a better semblance of what's happening in the market. So, I haven't really talked about the S&P 500 in the past couple days. Pretty much it's been going sideways above the exponential moving averages and kind of staying within this rising wedge ever so slightly. Yeah, today the candles are closing still above the 9 and 21 exponential moving average. Still needs some more time to kind of get a better understanding of what price action will be doing here. Pretty much it's still within this descending broadening wedge that I've been talking about literally for weeks now. And yeah, so far so good. These predominantly do break bullish over time. But interestingly enough, within this pattern, we do have a rising channel. So I wouldn't be surprised if this would eventually break out of the channel at some point and probably retest these lows once more to kind of see if it's actual valid. So a key level that I'm looking at is that yellow dotted horizontal line at 3,800 roughly. So if we're able to get a higher low off of that, that's just more power to actually break above this resistance line right here. I'm going to enlarge it just so you can kind of see it a little bit better. That is that key level where I would expect a significant reaction, either a harsh rejection to then retest to lower levels to say maybe 37,000. I'm sorry, it started 3,700. But yeah, that we're just not there yet. Maybe in a day or two we can actually test that, from a bullish perspective. But at this time, I'm going to look at the momentum oscillators on the 4 hours. So we do have a sell signal, which would actually confirm a break of this rising channel. Now, rising channels, they usually, from top to bottom, they usually come back and go right back to where they began, which is around 3,800. But sometimes they could actually hit a level, a Fibonacci level, to then create a higher low. So I'm keeping my eye on that. I'm going to actually change the colors here because that's a little too off. I'm going to change it orange so we can actually see what we're looking at. Okay, we have the 386 Fibonacci level right here. So I'm going to turn that into a green. And we have the 618, but we've already, yeah, so the 618 Fibonacci level is right there. Interesting. Okay, so if this short-term Fibonacci level holds at the 618, then we could realistically see a break. Oh, wow. Would you look at that? The 1618, usually where the 1618 lies is where the end of the move to the upside is, and it lines up really well with resistance at 4,179, so that's kind of cool to see. So if the 618 does hold, we could theoretically see price still maintain within this channel. But if the 618 doesn't hold, then I do expect the 382 Fibonacci level to have a bounce, which is roughly at 3,897. All right, so I'm just going to keep that there for now. There's already a lot of things in this chart, so I'm going to close this out. But yeah, I do expect price to eventually get a resolution out of this rising channel. They do end up breaking to the downside most often, so if that does happen, we could see a 0.32 level or maybe even lower. But to surmise it, I would much rather this rising channel break within this pattern, this larger descending broadening wedge pattern, to then kind of create a higher low. Because if we can turn this into a local low and then create say a higher low right here, that would create such a strong momentum pivot to then retest, to actually break this descending line of resistance, break this line of resistance, and ultimately retest this key zone here that has been acting resistance pretty much since March of 2022. But yeah, a long way to go. This isn't going to take days. This is going to take months. Stock market traditionally is way slower than crypto. So, but yeah, just wanted to give you an update in regards to that. We're still above a key support level, which is this downward sloping blue line. this blue line right here. We're still above that. That's a good sign. But yeah, I will say this. If we do get a candle close below 3,835.12, which is this level right here, I'm going to enlarge it so you can see it. I am going to flip so bearish so fast. Has not happened, but given that we are seeing a 4-hour sell signal right now, money flow is to the downside in red. We're getting a sell signal on the 6-hour. We had a sell signal on the 6-hour. 12-hour, not necessarily. Actually, 12 hours looking bullish because the money flow is still bullish. The 3-hour, the 3-day time frames looking more so bullish. So long-term time frames are looking bullish, short-term time frames are looking bearish. So realistically, a consolidation sideways and down, or even a breakdown of this rising channel to then retest these levels here would actually be really healthy for the bull case. I would not mind seeing this breakdown, retest this blue line once more to actually then create a definitive move to the upside. Now, we did get a cross of the 9 and 21 exponential moving average right here. So that is a good sign for me in terms of strength. But I mean, to the credit of the bulls, they have maintained support above that key daily level, which is that downward sloping blue line. So ultimately, I would feel that we're, just in a corrective phase to then ultimately retest higher prices in the future. All right, so I'm going to move on to dominance, Bitcoin dominance. So something pretty big happened today. We did get a break of structure. So this yellow line right here is acting as resistance now. Usually when dominance breaks down like this, we actually see the altcoins start to perform better than Bitcoin. So pretty much, yeah, you would call this a symmetrical triangle pattern. It has broken down here. And I did a Fibonacci retracement, so if this is a pivot top, I would expect price to come down to the 0.32 level or to the 618. Now, we did retest the 0.32 right around here, so I don't feel as confident of it getting retested once again. I could be completely wrong, but in my opinion, given that we did break down here, I would suspect price to eventually go to the 618 level, which is at 45.99%. So if I did a measured move from the top of the candle to the break, which is roughly, hold on, let me turn off this magnet tool, right there, okay, and I get that measured move at point of breakout. So the measured move actually is all the way back down to 46.57%, but given that it would lose the 0.786 as support, usually when you lose a fib level as support, it gets back tested as resistance. So in this case, it could be something like this. Gets back tested as resistance and then comes down lower to the actual like 618. So that's kind of like what I'm expecting in regards to dominance. So what does that mean? That, in my perspective, means that Ethereum should be outperforming Bitcoin for the medium short term, and Litecoin as well. So if I were to go to, say, Ethereum, for example, Ethereum versus Bitcoin. So actually, dominance is showing correlation with the ETH and Bitcoin chart. So we did get a 9 and 21 exponential moving average cross right around here. So if I zoom out, I just want to show you exactly what happens when these crosses happen. So let's just back test this. So we had a cross right here, okay, and we had a cross back here as well. So just for perspective, I just want to show you some perspective, okay? So I'm going to zoom out from that. Okay. So we had a cross right here, a cross right here, and now we have a cross again. So usually when these crosses happen, we do see pretty strong upward performance. Conversely, if we get a cross to the downside, we get a strong bearish performance. But at this time, yeah, I do suspect price to Ethereum to outperform against Bitcoin at this time. Now, keep in mind, if you zoom out, we are still in a downtrend. All right, so theoretically, Ethereum can still pump, but create a lower high. and continue this trendward down. So realistically, if this trend is not broken, we could expect, say maybe like a retest of this key level as resistance to then go down lower than the current local low. So, um, you know, but given this opportunity, altcoins should be performing better versus Bitcoin. So let me get Litecoin out, for example. Litecoin, actually, I did some technical analysis earlier today with a friend, and I did a Fibonacci retracement level, and essentially right now, Litecoin is bouncing off the 618. That's a good sign. Yes, we did get a bearish cross here, but if this 618 holds at support, I would expect, say, on the 4-hour time frame, Litecoin to break eventually this downward sloping line of resistance. So let me extend that out. Let me turn it red because it is, whoops, that is not red. Oh, and lo and behold, guess what? We are getting an attempt of breakout at this time with the Litecoin chart. Now, we still have 2 hours and 35 minutes to confirm this current candle, but I don't like the first candle breakout. I like the second candle. So this, theoretically speaking, I want to see this candle break this line of resistance. Then the next candle, I want it to backtest this line as support. Now, if that does end up happening, I would feel that much more confident in buying Litecoin, holding it to then trade it back into Bitcoin. So theoretically speaking, if this Fibonacci level holds as support, I would eventually expect price to then come back and retest this key level of resistance. This key level of resistance has been a factor in regards to price. So, we've had multiple touch points here. And the more times you test a resistance line, the weaker it gets. So realistically, I would love to see price break out of this resistance line to then continue moving price to the upside. We still have a lot of time for that, but yeah, ultimately that is the line in the sand for me. Okay, so Litecoin, I just busted it out because I wanted to show you guys kind of like what's happening with the Bitcoin to altcoin pairs. This is Monero. Monero has yet to realistically backtest this level. I was looking at 0.005169 as like a key bounce area, has yet to touch it, so there's still kind of room for that here. But interestingly enough, the money flow is starting to go from red to blue, so not too sure if that is in the cards at this time. 4-hour doesn't have a buy signal yet. The 1 hour, let's check out the 1 hour. Maybe the 1 hour in a bit. Let me go to the 37-minute time frame. They're not yet on the 37. What about the 24? Okay, yeah, the 24-minute time frame does have a buy signal here, so we'll see how that goes. Because currently we do have a local low. If this does pivot right now, questionable, but that would get a higher low instance, and then we can then continue moving to the upside. So that's just XMR. That's a quick analysis regarding XMR. But as you can see, the majority of these Bitcoin pairs are kind of performing they have been performing for pretty much the past 2 days, really. But it's to be determined in regards to how long these have been. I have been investing in the EGLD market as of late. I'm a big EGLD fan, I will tell you that. I like the tokenomics, and it has sharding capability. So basically Ethereum 2.0, pretty much a good chunk of what Ethereum 2.0 is incorporating a sharding mechanism. And because Ethereum, basically is moving from a proof of work chain to a proof of stake, you kind of have to kind of undo certain things. There's just a lot of technical aspects. It's really like technical artwork, what they're trying to do from pivoting to proof of work to proof of stake. But EGLD didn't have to go through that burden initially, so they've already incorporated sharding because they don't have to basically undo what they've already done. So that's why they have a technological advantage. And then they also have tokenomics similar to Bitcoin. They do have a fixed supply. So I'm a big fan of EGLD in the long term. But as you can see, it's up almost 2% today on the daily chart. On the 4-hour, we're starting to look at crosses right here. You know, we're almost getting a cross. We haven't had one in so long, but if you go to the 2-hour, we've already had a cross here. So I am pretty confident that this will eventually bounce back, but there's a lot of sentiment. It's been pretty bearish for pretty much since March. It's pretty much March 1st. It hasn't been performing too well against Bitcoin. I mean, nothing, well, not really. Very few assets have performed better than Bitcoin in this span of time. But overall, I do feel like this is a good opportunity for any EGLD fans. Also, the ecosystem. It is a layer 1, so there's coins built on top of it. Ethereum is a good example of that. Getting across right here as well. And it broke a key level of resistance, and yeah, my projected target is going back all the way up here to 15 cents. MEX broke key resistance recently. Yeah, so like these are very tiny coins. But anyway, I'm going to get back to the crux of it. So now I'm going to get into Bitcoin, the actual chart of Bitcoin. All right, so while this is happening, while basically Bitcoin's going sideways and down, alts have been performing a little bit, so that is something to keep in mind. Now, we did get a cross, interestingly enough, on the 1-hour, but as long as price is below this line of resistance, I cannot necessarily be bullish on this asset because we did get a diamond top. Excuse me, we did get a diamond top pattern. We did get a bounce off of key levels of support. The bulls needed to defend basically 26.7K in order to maintain this trend. But you know, I've been kind of talking about this pretty much. Man, I've been looking at this pattern for some time now, pretty much since mid-March. See, ascending broadening wedges are bearish patterns in nature. There was bullish exuberance and such, but pretty much choppy sideways action, but we did get a confirmation of a diamond pattern here. These do tend to break to the downside. So the measured move here would actually be from the top all the way to the bottom. That's how you get that measurement. Okay. But you have to keep in mind of what support levels it breaks along the way down. So you get that at the point of breakout, which is right around here. And it breaks through 26.7, which is a key level. But yeah, if that's the case, then you could definitely expect price to eventually come back down to 25.3K, given that there's no real support up until that point. And at that point, we are confirming a lower highs and lower lows. Lower highs and lower lows are indicative of downward trend, so that means the bears would be back in control. So from that point, just spitballing here, I would expect, say, sideways, maybe a retest of this line, rejection, breakdown, maybe a bounce, retest of, you know, previous support as a new resistance to then get rejected, and then maybe come back down lower to say 23K. So I mean, nothing's off the table right now. I do think that resistances have held, and we are in a fresh downtrend, in my opinion. So even though, yes, we did get a bullish cross and we've had some exuberance today, you know, you cannot deny this diamond pattern. I mean, this was, not gonna lie, this was the prettiest diamond pattern I've ever seen in my time of trading. A lot of them are pretty wonky and stuff like that. This one's pretty clear cut. And it also did develop right at a key level of resistance. If you look at this line of resistance right here, you know, it's pretty much been resistance since, you know, late January up until now. We did get some candle breaks above it, but ultimately price got rejected, and you know, it was a choppy battle. And now, you know, we are where we are, and we did initiate a lower high excuse me, a lower high right here, a lower high right here, some smaller lower highs, and yeah, so it's a pretty definitive downtrend at this time. We are missing some lower lows, I will say that. A lower low will initiate below 26.669K. So that's to watch. That's a key level to watch out for. If that's lost, I would expect a quick move to the downside. All right, so that is Bitcoin. Let me go to Ethereum. Let's see what's up with Ethereum. So Ethereum has had an interesting development here. You know, a key level is at 618. I have circled it here. Given that this ascending broadening wedge has broken to the downside, I do expect that. Interestingly enough, Ethereum is outperforming Bitcoin at this time. Where it doesn't show necessarily a diamond pattern at this time. Yeah, it's not necessarily showing that. It's showing something a little bit different. More choppy sideways and down, but ultimately, yeah, the opportunity here is to the downside, in my opinion, with Ethereum. If you go to the 37-minute time frame, we did get a sell signal. Now money flow is starting to point to the upside, so ultimately, I would expect maybe a little higher. But this downtrend is kind of like starting to take in consideration, but it's something to take in consideration. I'm sorry. So from that standpoint, ultimately, we did break out of this ascending broadening wedge here. We did backtest it as resistance. So ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised if price came back down to the 0.618 or all the way back down to this key level right here as a support over time. That's kind of where I am at in regards to Ethereum. All right, so from my perspective though, given what I'm seeing with dominance, I would expect Ethereum to bleed out less. That's kind of my stance on the matter. What else? Oh, Solana. Let's check out Solana here. Yeah. Alrighty. So, Solana has a more definitive pattern. This is a rising wedge pattern. Rising wedge patterns are bearish ultimately, and since the breakdown, we've been getting pretty much sideways and down at this point. Hasn't hit a key level, was not able to maintain the 618, so I would classify the 618 here as a pretty staunch resistance. Yeah, I was basically calling it like if we're unable to sustain 21.347, we're heading lower, and that's kind of been the case since then. So I'm gonna go to the, well, no, this is fine actually. Yeah. So I'm going to check this top side resistance. I'm going to see the status of it right here. Yeah, it's pretty near a resistance level, and yeah, you can make a solid argument that this key level of resistance is here, or you can maybe start it right here. Yeah, that looks pretty clean. Actually, funny enough, this is actually a descending channel, or if you go from there, that is a descending broadening wedge. It's not bad. Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll go with the descending broadening wedge. That looks really good, to be honest, right here, but it wouldn't match up. You have multiple touch points, 1, 2, 3. You know, I'll stick with this. Yeah, descending channels actually are interesting. They are bullish in nature. So usually what happens here is that they could literally go down all the way. But what happens is they usually break. Once they break the upside, which they usually do, they backtest it as support, old resistance, and then they shoot right back up where it began. Oh crap, sorry. Hold on. I started pressing random stuff. My apologies. Yeah, so I'm actually seeing a descending broadening wedge on Solana. Yeah, so once I see this resistance flipped as support, I would ultimately feel pretty bullish in regards to this asset. At this time, though, I am expecting lower until further notice. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. I just want to say thank you so much for your time. If you haven't already, please like, share, and subscribe with your friends. Yeah, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or if you want to recommend a particular coin to check out, I'm happy to do so. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Take care. Have a good rest of the day. Bye bye.